For studying to be fruitful, effective and productive, you have to plan your study. Planning reduces the activation energy required to get up and get stuff done. You ever felt lazy on a day and you're just like, oh, I need to get this done, but you need to decide what you're going to do, and that just creates a whole load of procrastination. If you plan, you don't have to decide and make decisions on the day because you've made them in advance. Rather, it's just about committing to what you've planned. That's a lot easier on the day, believe me. Hey friends, my name's Choudhury. I'm a medical doctor, the co-host of the Scrubbed In podcast and the co-founder of Peerr, where you can learn from your favorite educators. Now, there are 2 bits of crucial planning in my books. You have to know what, where, and when. Within the what, you have to know what your curriculum is, and you have to know what sources are relevant for your exams or for performing, say, a job, like being a medical doctor. Knowing your curriculum is critical. You have to know what you need to know. If you're in medical school, you can decide that you're going to have to know all of medicine and surgery, so you'll just learn everything in one go and whenever you like. But you can break down the medical degree into years and understand what the curriculum is, understand what hoops to jump through and when. And that's what the university actually does for you. I'll give you an example. When I was in 3rd year of medical school, we wasn't assessed on obs and gynae. It'd be useless to my goal of getting past the exams in 3rd year to learn obs and gynae. But in final year, it was important. So there's a time and place to learn the right content. If you're not a medical student, the same principles apply. You have to know what you're supposed to know and expected to know for the assessments at the end of the year or certain time block. So yeah, first know what you need to know and by when. Now that you've got an idea of what you need to know and by when, you need to know where from. You have to get your sources and resources in order. You have to know where your knowledge is going to come from. Usually your lectures are your core source, and usually your lecturers or tutors, they set the exams based on the provided materials. If it's exams set by a certain exam board, usually they will endorse certain textbooks or they will provide a curriculum and leave it to you to find sources that meet them. Build your knowledge base around the core material. Find the most relevant textbooks and let that, alongside the materials provided, form the core of what you should know. Now, the following is a very important point. Resources can be core and can be supplementary. They do 2 different things for you. The basics and the foundations of what you need to know are usually the same wherever you go, provided it's a reliable resource. Heart failure is heart failure. Whether you learn it from Kumar and Clark or from the Oxford Handbook or Physiology at a Glance, the core of the knowledge is all the same. So you don't have to read every single one. But saying that, the way they explain might differ. So you have to find one that suits you. Now, learning the foundations and the core material is usually enough to pass assessments. And if you understand it very well, you would actually do very well. So how do you score extremely well? This is where supplementary resources come in. You going out of your way to read papers and read extra books, read opinions, see patients, they are what gives you that extra dimension. So in exams, when they pop in that one rare question that's not in the core material, you know it. But you don't absolutely have to know it in the grand scheme of things to pass exams. You're more likely to fail the exams or the job if you don't know the basics. Get my point here? So when you plan to form the foundations before you start to try to add the cherry on top. Remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of the mark comes from 20% of the content. Basically, to pass the exams, you have to have the core under your belt. Now, I always say this to students. There are people out there doing PhDs on specific proteins. So don't look to learn everything under the sun. You won't do it within the time frame that you've been given, and you certainly won't be rewarded for it in exams. You knowing something extra might aid your understanding, and that's what it should be used for. And it might get you an extra mark or 2, but don't expect to be assessed on it. Restrict the depth to what's expected. And if you want to do really well, I usually say plus a little more. But that's it. That's what I did to get to the first centile. Now the other half of the planning coin is, when are you studying? You can't randomly just say, yeah, I'll study when I feel like it. You need to have a plan so you not only can study, but you can also have a life around it. To plan when you're going to study, you need to know 3 things. Number 1, when are your exams? Number 2, how much content do you need to get through? And number 3, how much practice do you need? Grab a calendar, be it digital or physical, and first slot in your exam date. After your exam date, identify all of the categories of content you need to get through. Now I know there are various different ways of doing this, but in this video we're keeping it simple. Just slot in the categories on the planner, so now you know when you're studying what. If you can go further, slot in time so you know what you're doing in the morning, afternoon and evening, and for how long. Now practice, without a doubt, is an incredibly important part of your studying. Don't just learn to not practice application. Practice is what proves you've learned something well, because you can use it to solve problems. Put practice in every single day without fail. If you need a little bit of help with scheduling, drop a comment below and I'll try and help you through it. Now here's a bonus tip for you all. Your peers ahead of you know the exams better than anyone else. Ask them. Get inside information. Ask them how they studied, what mistakes they made, what did they do to revise for the exams. And if they do teaching sessions, go and learn from them. On the platform Peerr, that is exactly what I'm trying to do. Connect us all within a network so we can learn from each other. Check it out at www.peerr.io and join our Discord group too. So yeah, before you study, plan your study. It makes your studying and learning more effective, efficient and productive. If you've gotten here, first of all, thank you. I'd love it if you could subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video where I'll be talking about what to do in the run up to classes. See you in the next video.